that. So as coaches yourself, have you got any players that then who also play 11-a-side?
Unfortunately, yes. I think it's one of the problems I've been facing is that sometimes my players get injured on 11-a-side matches, or maybe they can't come to a training session because they have another thing for 11-a-side, and thankfully it's changing. Slowly it's changing, but that's one of my personal problems. Well, the problem.
Genesis, and then some of your national experience that you have with Portugal.
Well, where do I start? Genesis?
Let's go with Genesis.
Oh, well, it's a short story because I just started with Genesis in September. What really drew me to Genesis was the will to develop, and the will to change, the will to like the name Genesis. Genesis is the beginning of the meaning of the word Genesis is the beginning of something. So when Trevor Tamatave that invited me to join the team, he said, let's build a new group, let's build a new generation, let's try to develop, and that was the thing that just he helps coach.
How do you recruit your players?
I don't know if there's really a recruitment policy.
So you just take any player and just start working with them?
Well, to be honest, when I joined Genesis, there was a group already there.
Okay.
From there, well, I came from Portugal. I knew there were some players that I had met in Portugal before, so I invited those players. And then recently, there is some young men coming from Eastbury School.
Okay.
So the philosophy is very symbolic of the actual name of the club.
Genesis.
I don't know if it was on purpose, but yes.
I like that because we don't hear of those. You know, we don't hear of that very often. So yeah, no, I do like that.
Well, a name has a lot of meaning, as they say.
I think it's a fortunate coincidence.
Yeah.
But I think there is a need in all sports. But well, I'm a futsal coach, so I'll talk about futsal. There is a need to develop.
Yeah, of course.
And especially when we are in the beginning, again, the word Genesis, a genesis of futsal in England.
Absolutely.
We need to have a generation that reads futsal, that plays football, futsal, that has the passion for futsal. And I think that's a very important seed that has to be taken care of.
Freestyle, I was always into freestyle, like when we're warming up before a game, watching some videos, for instance, Sean Garnier is like one of the world's best freestylers at the moment, and he uses a lot of skills in futsal at the moment. So yeah, he's one of my inspirations in.
What has your football journey been like? So for those viewers out there who are listening in, and you know who may be young, you know, and energetic like yourself, what advice would you give? Like, what has your journey been like?
Yeah. Well, you gotta be ambitious, and I know sometimes you say it's easy dreaming, and you gotta go out there and try your best, and you don't want to live with the if. At a later stage, I mean, especially in sports, you don't get much time in it, and the amount of it's so competitive, it's unbelievable. So sometimes you think, as long as you give your 110%, then you can be satisfied with yourself in the long run that you did give everything you could.
I think Carlos is right. In their formative years, I think it's different in Spain and Portugal, where they grow up with futsal. You know, there is that double choice where possibly from now on, you know, when I first started in futsal, 2004, you know, if you said futsal, most people go foot what? It's very much, you know, you spoke about it, Colin, but you know, it was embryonic, let alone infant stage, and people knew very, very little about it. And I got into the game myself by accident. I remember seeing the game in the 90s, and I just didn't make head or tail of it. I had no idea, no clue about what the game was, and really didn't even rate it. So, but I had a sort of Genesis moment myself, and then I saw the game, and then it just clicked with me, and then it's been a passion ever since. But you know, people like Carlos have got real experience that we have to tap into, and you know, my knowledge is that, and guys like Carlos,
He's
they're
lived it.
bringing a wealth of experience that we, and that's one of the things I find about futsal is the futsal community is very open and prepared to share, and that's been my experience throughout.
And open. Tell us a little bit about Brentford.
Well, as Colin knows me quite well, I work for the Community Sports Trust at Brentford, and we've had over the years quite big futsal programs, and I mean now we're doing the BTEC, which hopefully we'll talk about a little bit later. But the Community Sports Trust delivers a wide range of programs from disabilities, female program. We've got some very niche programs with young carers, and obviously football's at the core of what we do. But I'm in that corner chipping away at futsal, and I don't think there's a member of staff who I haven't bored to death about futsal. but you know, I'm desperate to get it going in West London, along with all the other guys who are involved in futsal, Colin included.
Is there more professional clubs doing what you're doing, mirroring what you're doing?
Well, how it works is the Football League Trust have got a programme of 48 clubs now involved.
Yeah.
So within the South East, there's ourselves, Brentford, Brighton, Crawley, Peterborough, Southend, Leyton Orient.
Are Tottenham in this?
Yeah, Tottenham, they're not, but they
have got a futsal
They have
program,
got a futsal squad, but they don't play in the Football League Trust Cup as well, first round, which we just missed out on qualifying for the main draw by 1 goal, but we'll be in the plate competition. But for us,
because you didn't have me playing.
Possibly. But you know, we're in our first year and we're playing against second-year scholars, so it's difficult for us. But we're competitive, and the main thing for me though, which hopefully Carlos will appreciate, is that I want them to play futsal. I don't want them to go out there and play five-a-side, which we're still seeing a lot of.
Yeah.
And probably one of the questions I've got for Carlos with his Portuguese futsal hat on is his thoughts on English futsal and where it is at the moment and how he sees it developing.
That's the question.
That's for you.
Okay.
Well, I have to be honest. You asked me that off camera, so I've been preparing the answer. I think I come from a country where futsal is everywhere. In each neighborhood there is a pitch, right-size pitch. There's another of the problems, I think. We don't often find pitches the proper size. Just a question. It's just a comment. Last Sunday we played against Baku.
Yeah, Baku United.
On a pitch that in between the line and the area was a little bit bigger than my foot. So there's not really much space to really play futsal, to develop the
What is the
tactics of
actual
futsal.
dimensions of the futsal pitch?
If I'm not mistaken, 40 per 22?
I think the international court size is 42 by 25.
Okay.
But Carlos is right. We train in a sports hall which is 4 badminton courts, so it's very tight, 30 metres, possibly by 18.
Right. So
But
you're
then-
a bit cramped.
Yeah, but then when we go and play our league matches, we play at Sport House in Barking, which has a full-size court.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the players, they take a few minutes to adjust to the court
Yeah.
because it is very different, as Carlos will testify.
Futsal, and it can't be futsal if it's on 3G and...
No, it
All
can't
of
be
it.
not on 3G. It has to be on a proper court. That's it. I'm becoming a purist.
So, you are, aren't you? I mean, that was said with pure intent. That was.
Well, it's because of the game. You know, the game flows better on a real court.
Oh, definitely. Something to aspire.
Yeah.
A league, a championship, because everyone has a dream of becoming
What age group would you say? I know there's a lot of tournaments for young players. A lot of tournaments, you know, Birmingham, Swindon and so on. But I think the main thing with the youngsters, as you said, it's choosing. And they play their games on Sundays, as you know. And, you know, if you're playing this at grassroots level. But you're going to need another day for them. So maybe Saturday. But the problem is the FA has got to step in and make a league for them. That's some different
That's one of the things. I think the FA has to take it seriously.
Yeah. At the moment, it's mainly development. That's the problem. You know, you do development sessions. I mean, I do development sessions myself, but there's not much out there for kids to say there's a league on a certain day.
What is the structure then? So we know the football pyramid.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody knows that quite well. What would be the equivalent in futsal?
Well, at the moment, there's
with
no...
the player pathway too. So, for instance, the pathway, so I'm thinking of what is the pathway to then making it as a pro player playing for England?
No, what I'm saying to you, Manish, is basically at the moment, if you play grassroots football, we know the pyramid. But as a futsal, they don't get to play futsal seriously until they get to Louis or to Carlos.
16 is the minimum.
So that is it's a 16.
And that would be as part of a scholarship program or a community program.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there isn't. So until they get to 16, it's just.
It's just not taken seriously, basically. That's what Carlos is saying. So from under 12s, there should be some kind.
The National League consists of 3 conferences, effectively, which are regional. And one of the reasons is because there isn't much money in futsal. So to keep things on a local basis, teams will play that are regional. And then as the competition develops, it then becomes a more national competition. There's also an FA Cup competition. The winners of the FA National League then represent England in the UEFA Futsal Cup, which is the equivalent of, if you like, the Champions League of futsal, and which is a very high-level competition. And I think this season was the first time an English club had made the elite round. You know, we'd had lots of goes of it, and this time Baku United, who you mentioned, who probably you'd have to term a professional, as near as you can get to a professional club in this country, made it through. And I think it was a good thing they got drawn in Barcelona's group, and you know, from our perspective, an English, you know, they lost 5-1, but that is a good result. You know, people might think in normal football you lose 5-1, but
about a year ago we set up a futsal centre in Peterborough. So the aim is to work with grassroots clubs and anybody who doesn't play football at the moment, sort of get them involved in futsal, get them playing it, get them sort of developing their football skills, and also being able to then pinpoint players to local football clubs. And we sort of started that off, and I also run a futsal mashup centre over sort of in my local town. So the older they run a football mashup programme. It's a sort of informal session for sort of teenagers to go along to. You can either do it sort of football based or futsal inside. So obviously we chose the inside option, and so it's just an informal session for them to turn up to. Develop their skills, have a bit of fun, and learn the game while they're doing.
You also coach football too. Have you? And a discussion that we've been having is players then using their futsal skills into an 11-a-side game. How have you found that with your players, or players in general, perhaps?
We've tended to, with the lads that we coach in our futsal centre, we've actually had some quite good feedback from parents and from coaches, sort of saying about how those skills have transferred. So not just the technical side, but a lot of the sort of passing and moving. So finding clear passing lines has improved massively for them. So that they're in good positions to be able to receive the ball when they then move outside into their normal football differently.
Chloe, can I just ask, what age groups do you start from?
We are just starting, funnily enough, tomorrow night. So we're about to start with school years 2, and that's going to be their first session. We currently go all the way up, and we've got adult teams at the moment running.
Yeah, I think it's a good starter for young kids because basically, obviously the environment of futsal is great for them because it's warm, it's not raining outside.
Yeah.
Well, snowing.
It's a great environment for the coaches too.
Yeah. So you're getting a good response, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It's been sort of quite positive, and the league around us do sort of the younger age groups at the moment. So we've sort of had a few teams from there sort of join up. We've had a local club sort of just outside of Peterborough that we're about to set a satellite club up with. So they're all really keen to.
Today is, I'm not sure if you know, Chloe, we're supporting Time to Talk Day, and it's in aid of a mental health charity. So it's really just about talking about mental health and this taboo and stigmatism around it. And what are your thoughts on mental health in sport and the mental well-being of players?
Obviously, that's a really sort of big priority. It's just as important as the physical welfare of them. I think, though, that sport can play a massive role in that, especially for those who perhaps have sort of mental health issues and they don't necessarily want to go out and socialise. I think that social aspect of the sport can bring a lot to them and can give them a lot of confidence, which is a big element.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we think about, with the football and the FA's four-corner model that we then adopt into our coaching, so the social and psychological aspect, how imperative do you think that is when you're translating that to your sessions?
Important. They're so important. I've just got in, before my mashup session tonight, I was outside with a group of teenage girls, and we just had a whole session based around the psychological and social corners, and the sort of effort and the commitment that you see from them put in when you start talking about these things is amazing. And you know, it's really important. And I think, you know, no matter what level you're working at, with those that perhaps are more at the grassroots level, you know, they need that real sort of social aspect, and it's more about player development with the younger kids as well.
Getting contact with you because the stuff that you're doing is brilliant, and I've seen a lot of the work that you do with your players and giving them ownership of sessions as well. And I've seen some of the posts that you put up on Twitter and the photos that you take where you've got some of your young players leading sessions, and you know, and I think it's fantastic. So if there were any, you know, aspiring coaches out there that wanted some advice and they wanted to get in touch, how can they contact you?
Twitter's probably the easiest way, if I'm honest. It's at Chloe Brown 11, or generally sort of if you just sort of Google Chloe Brown Peterborough or Chloe Brown Football, I'm sure you'll sort of find my website and things on there.
I've been following Chloe, stalking her for quite a while. She's brilliant, always very giving, you know, wanting to share ideas. But where I was drawn was with the ownership that she gives players.
Yeah, massive.
And young players, and then she, you know, just from looking at her posts, and I think that's really, really important because often, especially the younger ones, so where I was coaching the under-7s, there's always this thing of, oh, they're too young, we need to spoon feed them. But then, and I think of myself as a teacher, it's no wonder you're developing robots because you're not giving them. I feel like you're depriving them from creativity and imagination. And you know, we think about futsal. It is all about imagination.
Absolutely. Well, you see, with new coaching methods of like youth modules and things like that nowadays, their coaches are getting more open to giving players ownership. I don't know if you'd say so, Louis.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've done the youth module 1 and 2, so it's trying to strike the right balance, isn't it, with the players that you have and giving them ownership at the right time if they're ready for it as well. I think, you know, you have to be. It's all very well going hands off straight away, but you need to be sure that the
well, obviously, as a coach, you know, Carlos, I don't know if you agree with me.
Yes.
You have to give the players some ownership at some stage, because once you let them on the pitch, literally they're in charge.
The players decide what to do. The magic is in their feet, so we are just there to kind of prepare them and then give them that ownership. Then they'll help them to decide. Yeah. And to do the show.
Well, this is it, you know. We want to see him put a show on, and if you put too many restrictions on players, you probably won't get the best out of them.
Oh, definitely. I just had an example again this weekend against Baku United. I put so many restrictions, and you can't do this and that, and half time I had to say, okay, just play. And then one of my players, Claudio, scored one fantastic goal against Baku, and there he is. That's the Claudio I wanted to see.
Hello and welcome back to Futsal Discovered. We are here in discussion with Carlos and Louis. So, sorry, on the goal, let's go back to the goal. So it was...
it's a wonder goal.
A wonder goal?
A wonder goal.
Is it a wonder goal?
No, you was mentioning
yes.
I was listening to you.
Because it is a wonder goal.
Yeah.
No, again, I was saying because it's Baku United champion.
And they're pretty tough, aren't they?
Yes, and we prepared the game, and we were trying to be very, you know, rigid in certain aspects. And after halftime, when I asked them to play with passion, and this young man is just 19. Yeah. He came up with one of those moments
that you wish you had on video.
Oh, we have. Oh, not here, unfortunately.
Well, you need to send it to us.
Can you send it to us?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Actually, it was Sport London and Benfica manager who got it, and then he sent it, and I said, just perfect, because this is just, it is a free kick, but the way it produces, actually the way the team moves, there's another movement of a 16-year-old that had his debut last Sunday, and he moved perfectly to the side. It was one of those moments that makes me...
For in a player in futsal. Because obviously, you know, in football, you look for certain things, you know, you look for athletes a little bit, you know, you want to see people running. But in futsal, obviously, you want to see a good touch and stuff like this. But, I mean, there must be some element what you look for, which makes you go, wow, he's a good player.
Oh, there's one thing. I love players with dedication. Yeah. You know, those players that, actually, I'm the only one in the team that is not in in the pitch now at this moment. They are training University of East London, and snow, rain, anything, nothing takes them away from the sessions. But more specifically, I don't know, just one player that then we look at him and we just say, wow. Yeah. Like Jamil, that makes me makes me feel jealous. We look at him doing that and I say, wow, I wish I could do that. And it's just part of the thrill of being a futsal, let's say, lover. When you love futsal, when you love the show, and then you see a player that just is able to do that. I think the word is wow.
Yeah, the wow factor.
We're going to watch a preview, like I mentioned earlier on Middlesbrough Futsal Club, because we will have Chris Hodgson, head coach of the club, on our next show. So let's take a look at Middlesbrough in action.
Hi, I'm Bernard Slavin and you're watching Butler Sports TV.
Middlesbrough Futsal Club was founded in February 2007 by members of Teesside University Futsal Club with Damon Shaw as chairman. In 2009, Middlesbrough Futsal Club were crowned FA National Futsal League North champions. The club is now a community interest company with Damon Shaw and Lucas Samak as directors of the company. Middlesbrough has a strong academy setup and is committed to nurturing homegrown talent, with the majority of the players coming from Teesside. We caught up with them at their recent match against University of York.
Listen, fellas, today, two key things, possibly three key things that I want to do is we're playing with 3-1. We've got to utilise the pivot. Alright, so the guy who's playing as a pivot, we've got to bring support and runs in. There's too many times when they're receiving the ball, they think they've got to turn and shoot. Yes, there's times when you can, if you defend it tight on, you can feel him, yes, turn, have a shot by all means, but there's loads of times when you can drop the ball off like a dumb pass for support and run. So everybody's got to be switched on together. What I'm looking for today is the player who stands out. The player who's, what I love is being ruthless, right? Seriously, ruthless. And if we can all be ruthless together, we will destroy them. We've got to destroy them. There's no letting up. I don't care if we go 4 or 5 up. We do not sit back. We keep going, So we punish them. We teach them not to come back here again, what again. Right? Robbie, get them in, get them buzzing. Alright, come on fellas, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the final part of Futsal Discovered. Myself and Colin Brown are here in discussion with Louis Melville and Carlos Philippe. Louis, tell us a little bit about the BTEC.
Okay, well it's a 2-year full-time scholarship based around the National Extended Diploma Level 3. So it's worth the equivalent of 3 A levels. So we're actually currently recruiting for the next cohort, which starts in September. Okay. And effectively what they need to do is they need to get 4 GCSEs, including maths and English, and be a reasonable level of a footballer. We're not looking for the next Messi necessarily, but ideally, if they've got a reasonable standard, and then what they'll get is over the 2 years, they'll have 3 training sessions a week with us. They'll have fortnightly matches, chance to take part in the Soccer AM Cup, but also one of the pathways we spoke about young players is the FA Centre of Excellence for futsal.
Oh, brilliant.
Now, we were fortunate enough to have 2 of our players selected straight away, so 2 lads, Brad and Abbas, are involved in that. Yeah. And the aim, our long-term aim, if I'm honest, is to produce a National League team of young English players to go and compete, because I think that's what's needed. A few years ago, I was involved in National League with a team called Vaughan's, and the community played. But I think really now the aim has to be to try and get young English players playing futsal regularly, and as you say, giving up 11 aside.
It's a bit like football. Basically, you put the best players together. Yep. Basically, the 2 players who've gone, do they still play with you guys? I take it.
Yeah, they are. They're still part of the course. So One of the things we're asked to do is to try and get them hooked into National League clubs, but it's very difficult for young English players to break in when they're, you know, there are a lot of Portuguese players and Brazilians playing, and there's a lot of Eastern European-based clubs as well who, you know, that's what they play. So one thing I'd love to see is a lot of the National League clubs really develop downwards into youth teams, not just 18, 17.
This is what I was saying earlier.
But
about
going down to 8, 10, 12s, you know, that's what we need. And I think that's where the FA really need to try and support. I know we've bashed the FA a little bit here tonight, but I think that's really where the FA need to try and go and support.
Love.
Tough love, yeah, indeed. Futsal love.
Yeah. I have a huge amount of love for the FA. So, Louis, with the BTEC, so you're recruiting at the moment. If there is anybody out there who is tuning in and you know is interested, how can they get in touch?
Well, they can get in touch. Hopefully, the Twitter handles on the screen. Yep. They can get in touch with me there. Even if you don't mind, Manisha, they go through you, but they can always contact us at the Community Sports Trust, and our website's brentfordfccst.com. And all the details will be on there, or they can call me on the number that's on the website, and I'll happily chat futsal all day long.
Hear a little bit about Portugal, Carlos. Your Portuguese experience with the national team, the street.
Yeah, street football or street
football.
soccer, how it's more known. Well, I'm a bit of a coach by accident.
Oh.
I started futsal because someone invited me. Do you want to take care of this team because the coach left? And kind of I started learning. And I agree when you say that the futsal community is more open. Yeah. The same in Portugal, because I had to make lots of phone calls to other coaches that I now consider friends and say, what do I do? And then it's a learning process. Yeah. Street football was the same. I got invited to become the national coach.
Wow. National Portuguese coach?
Yes, for 3 World Cups. Every year there is a World Cup.
3 World Cups.
And thankfully, our proudest moment was the first World Cup. We went to the final against Ukraine. We lost 5-4.
But you were a finalist.
Yeah,
yes,
in the World
that's
Cup.
an achievement.
Yes, and with the youngest team ever in the Portuguese national team.
Brilliant.
The average age was 19, and we were playing against adults, and they were an outstanding group that we played in Milan, and
any players come out of that?
Yes, there is one. Fernando, he plays in the 2nd division in Portugal. Is semi-pro. Yeah. And outstanding defender. He was his best moment was against Brazil, and he plays. And unfortunately, our goalkeeper had a serious injury, and he had to abandon football. But the other ones play in the regionals. But at least those they all play futsal. Yeah. By the way, they played on the national street football team, but they play futsal now.
Can you tell us a little bit about the conference?
Oh yes, sorry. A website. There's a website and a magazine in Portugal called Futsal Plus. Together with Genesis and Futsal Focus in a partnership. Yeah. So they are bringing here João Pinto. He was the former SL Benfica coach. He coached, for instance, Ricardinho. Okay. And he's coming in April, and 4th of April. And then I'll send you all the details. Okay. So if you don't mind, just share with everyone.
Of course, we're
the next
here
few
to
programs. Share. And the conference is about training methodologies. I think it's a very good opportunity to get to learn from one of the most experienced coaches in Portugal.
Carlos and Louis, we have come to the end of the show.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know.
I'm just about to ask another question.
Sorry. You're going to have to hold that question or tweet it. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we get a few more people on board with Brentford and the scholarship scheme. Again, with the conference.